Republicans support the idea that Trump has espoused for 20 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And there's a big gulf between dropping bombs for one specific purpose, blowing up a nuclear facility, and regime change and nation building. There's a huge gulf. And going in with B-2 bombers is different than boots on the ground.
Yes, it is.
And the president can
do next? And then what do we do next?
I'll tell you what they won't do next is build a nuclear bomb. And that's the outcome we're trying to get here.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. On Saturday, Scott Jennings joined the panel on CNN's Table for Five. Scott Jennings wasn't surprised at all when the panel went straight into default mode, trying to spin normal Republican debate into some kind of emotional breakdown. While the panel hand-wrings over GOP disagreement, Scott Jennings waited his turn and calmly unleashed his fury upon them. Maybe a little dramatic. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings expose their hypocrisy and torch their narrative in real time. Let's go.
From Israel.
Yeah.
You were there trying to get out as missiles were coming in. Give us some sense of how you see Trump dealing with this. There are folks saying he blinked and Netanyahu is in charge. There are folks saying, look, this is prudent diplomacy. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, he's been extremely consistent on his views for a very long time. He does not believe Iran should be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. He has said it over and over and over again. And he said this week, I decide what is America First foreign policy, and America First foreign policy is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. There can be no peace if they have a nuclear weapon. So consistency is number one. Number two, this cannot end at this point, in my opinion, any other way than them losing any ability at all to make a nuclear weapon. And so whether Israel winds up figuring out how to do it, or whether we end up doing it on Donald Trump's order, that's the only way this can end. And I think he knows that at this point. And I think he's taking the amount of time that he needs to figure out the best way to achieve that outcome. You know, there's been a lot of debate on the right about whether we should or we shouldn't, but allowing Iran, which has consistently over 46 years been at war with the United States, chanted death to America, we're the great Satan, Israel's a little Satan. You know, as I was sitting there in Israel watching the missiles fly over my head, I was thinking, I sure am glad they don't have nuclear warheads on them, but that's what they want. And we cannot allow it. And I think the president has been right on this all along.
It should take some time, and it shouldn't be trigger happy. But who is he listening to? I hope it's not Laura Loomer. I hope it's not Tucker Carlson. I hope it's military experts. But he doesn't have a ton of good people around him. He's iced out Tulsi. I hear he's icing out Pete Hegseth. These are his people. He put them there. He's not listening to them. I worry about who he's engaging with.
Collectively, I think you mentioned something, that the 2 weeks. Surprised that there was this pause because he said, everyone evacuate from Tehran, and then suddenly it's a debacle. What do you think caused that?
He didn't say he was doing it in 2 weeks. He said, you know, that's sort of the most time I would give. I mean, he could do it in 2 minutes. I mean, you know, for all we know. And they shouldn't know the time or the place that we're going to do it. I guess they'll know the place in this case, but they should know when we're going to go. So I don't fault him for taking in as much information as he can here. Also, you have to remember, he knows more than we do. He knows more than anybody. He has a lot of information we're not privy to. He's also consulting with the Israelis, who have tons of information that we're just not going to be able to discuss here at the table today. I have a lot of confidence, actually, he's going to make a good decision, because he's been so clear-eyed on this for 20 years about the fact that they cannot have this. I actually don't believe it's all that nuanced. We're either going to allow them to have a nuclear bomb or not.
The idea that he's been consistent. Let me just push back a little bit. You're right, he's been consistent on Iran can't have a nuke, but the way he's always defined America first, and you know this as well as I do, you talk to people who voted for him, this is not it. It is not.
I disagree.
Oh, I mean, okay, I'm hearing from lots of MAGA voters. I'm not talking about the Tucker Carlsons and the people representing the MAGA surrogates. I'm talking to Trump voters who are saying this is 100% the opposite of why I voted for him. Foreign adventuring, foreign wars. It's not just we're defending our ally Israel. It's now we're thinking about bombing nuclear sites in Iran with very bad proxies and bad actors in the region.
I mean, in his first term, we fired cruise missiles into Syria. We took out Qasem Soleimani. I mean, he was not an isolationist. He's for smart engagement, but that doesn't mean no engagement. He was pretty clear on that.
But he got out of the Iran deal with the idea that it would stop them from enriching, and all they did when he got out of the deal was start enriching again. I'm not sure I trust his judgment on how best to deal with this particularly bad actor.
And we're going to
obviously this segment was recorded before today's strikes, but I'm genuinely interested to hear what you all think about the mission. What are your all's thoughts on Israel, Iran in general? I know my stance, but I will tell you, I don't remember another issue that took me this long to be confident in what my position is on it. I think there's a lot to weigh in this. Anyway, I'd be interested. Let me know. I think we'd all agree, based on every publicly available report, the U.S. strike in Iran was a resounding success. Target destroyed, no American lives lost. If the mission had to happen, which I believe it did, then this was the best case scenario. So I know we can't count on Democrats for much, but you'd think everyone, kind of regardless of politics, would be glad that Iran's nuclear ambitions just got sent back to the Stone Age, right? Maybe not. Check this out. You're looking at what I'm looking at, right? As I was researching, I came across this little gem from a left-wing creator. And genuinely, I'm not at all here to call anyone out personally. That's why I removed the creator's name and channel. And I'm sure they think the same thing about my thumbnails. Now, that said, I mean, come on. I know the YouTube game. You have to walk the fine line between clickbait and content. You guys accuse me of it all the time. I understand. I'm guilty too. But labeling this as a failure, there's no way that a sane person is going to think you're going to provide any type of analysis. With a title like this is just a fictional performance at this point. When your argument depends on pretending success didn't happen, it just proves you've got nothing real to say. And not only am I smiling because this is just objectively funny, but it makes me happy too. 2 words: job security. Anyway, let's get back to it. The first clip is the interview Tucker Carlson did with Ted Cruz. It's context for what they're about to talk about.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population. At all? No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah. How could you not know that? I don't sit around memorizing population tables. Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government. Why is it relevant whether it's, it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant? Because if you don't know anything about the country... I didn't say I don't know anything about the country. What's the ethnic mix of Iran? They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran. You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country. No, you don't know anything about the country.
Have to defend it? Absolutely. So this was theater of 2 guys who represent 2 wings of MAGA, and the House is divided now. It feels a little bit like MAGA's getting divorced. These people feel very strongly on this particular issue. They're united around Trump's domestic agenda. On this one thing, they're very, very divided.
Scott, I heard the from you.
The polling on this is quite clear.
But will supporters still support Trump if he chooses action?
Of course they will. I mean, the polling on this, we've explored it on CNN this week, is quite clear. Republicans support the idea that Trump has espoused for 20 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And there's a big gulf between dropping bombs for one specific purpose, blowing up a nuclear facility, and regime change and nation building. There's a huge gulf. And going in with B-2 bombers is different than boots on the ground.
Yes, it is.
And the president can do something.
What does Iran do next? And then what do we do next?
I'll tell you what they won't do next is build a nuclear bomb. And that's the outcome we're trying to get here.
One of the common refrains that we've heard a lot, but we're hearing more and more on CNN over the last week or so, is that Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth are basically the worst human beings alive. Total morons with single-digit IQs. But now, suddenly this lady's mad that Trump isn't listening to them. What? You've spent the last year calling Tulsi a Russian asset and Pete a meathead with a camera. Every single time you show up with this panel, it's Trump picked the wrong people. And now those same people are going to be Trump's foreign policy saviors? I know this is obvious, but I just have to say it out loud in case anyone missed it. Her criticism of Trump is that he's not listening to Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, which I don't know if any of that is true at all. Regardless, what do you think her take would be if he was actively or solely listening to Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard? She'd probably say, thank God you're listening to them, right? So I think it's pretty clear from CNN, the theme is that the GOP is basically a bunch of divorced people, or whatever she said, fractured, bitter, barely holding it together. And what's their rationale? Because some Republicans have different takes on how to handle Israel and Iran. That's the big scandal. They can't imagine a party that actually allows for real debate without falling apart. something that I genuinely believe they are truly unable to understand is that Donald Trump's supporters trust him. They know exactly where he stands on Iran. He's been saying for 20 years that they don't get a nuclear weapon. And while Republicans might disagree on tactics, we still manage to lead. We still manage to act. We get things done. Can anyone say the same about the Biden administration? I guess I should clarify. Get good things done. They had 4 years to figure out foreign policy. What do we have to show for it? Confusion? Inaction? So yeah, Republicans argue. We don't all walk in lockstep. Another novel idea, I know. But at the end of the day, we move, we act. And that's something the left doesn't know how to do. So while the media keeps pushing this idea that Republican debate equals dysfunction, clearly voters know better. Trump's been clear for decades, Iran doesn't get nukes. And whether or not everyone agrees on the strategy, Republicans still manage to show strength, clarity, and results. It's one of the main reasons that all their arguments go left, no pun intended. They can't say the same, and deep down, they know it. But like I said earlier in the video, let me know your thoughts on the whole Israel-Iran thing. I learned a lot from you guys. Anyway, that's it for this video. The channel had a sub goal of 20K by the end of the month. That ain't gonna happen. All month at this point in the video, I've just been asking for everyone to make a big push. Let's finish out June strong, and then we can go back to where I never ask you like, subscribe, and that stuff. But June's not over yet, so do all the things to support the channel. Every single little thing you do, I really, really appreciate it. Otherwise, as always, thanks a lot for taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. I know your time's valuable. Never forget Jesus loves you. See you guys.